Welcome to this edition of Brew Venture. Today we're doing things a little bit differently. We aren't just focusing on one coffee and one brewing method. We are using the new Hiroia Hikaru to brew 3 different coffees. And because this is a programmable brewer, we're going to be talking about how our approach to brewing each recipe varies based on the roast level, the origin, and the flavor notes that we want to get out of each of these DeMello coffees. To help me do that, I'm going to bring in Jaimee, the head roaster here at DeMello. She's going to be the brains, I will be the hands, and we're just going to talk through our approach to brewing each of these coffees. So what Jaimee and I are going to be looking at on my phone, and we'll have an overlay so you guys can see what we're looking at, but it is essentially building a recipe for this machine to reproduce, just as if we were doing a hand pour over. So we're going to start with the Ethiopian coffee, and the first step is picking a temperature. So Jaimee, what temperature are we going to use for the Ethiopia?
I recommend 94 Celsius.
Okay, let's do our brewing steps. So I'm assuming we're going to start with a bloom.
Okay.
It's a good place to start generally.
Okay.
What size of bloom are we looking for?
So I usually use 50 milliliters.
Okay. On the Hiroia Hikaru, it is an interesting brewing method because it's just a center pour. So we're going to adjust how much agitation we want on the left side. So for a bloom, are we going to want a gentler pour or more agitation?
So gentle pour.
Gentle pour, okay, so let's go with a 3.
Yes.
Sounds good to me. And then how long do we want it to wait after the bloom?
This is 30 seconds.
Perfect, okay. Okay, so that's a 1:14 brew ratio. Are you happy with this recipe?
Yes.
Perfect.
We try it.
We'll try it, exactly. And that's the same with anything, no matter if you're brewing manually or if you're trying to copy this recipe at home, dial in to taste. No one's settings are gonna be perfect for you. We will add in our coffee. And here we go. We will select that recipe that we just made and hit brew. Hopefully it works.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I always like the Hikaru. It has these very modern, very futuristic lights that are fun to watch while it's heating up.
Yes.
It's a machine from the future. Here we go. So this uses a kind of unique method of pouring. So a lot of pour machines, or even when you're using a kettle, it's going to be rotating to agitate. This uses just a center pour, and the harder it pours, the more agitation you can get. So we're looking at this bloom right now, and it's actually a pretty effective bloom, even though you're pouring right in the middle.
It's working. It comes here, the good smell.
Okay, so our brew has finished. Let that draw down, and then here we are. Let's try our first brew.
This is so good.
That is a really good cup.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with that for our first attempt on the Hiroia.
It's the first time we try, so we find the recipes.
We're going to be replaced by robots one day. I don't know if we should be happy about that or sad, but that's a good cup of coffee. Okay, let's move on to our next coffee. Okay, so now we are moving on to our second coffee, which is dancing goats. We're going to take our learnings about how this machine works. We're going to program in some pauses, but we're also going to create a new recipe. So let me go over there.
Yes.
I'm going to take a photo because that's just fun on how we create new recipes for dancing goats. Excellent.
Okay.
The first one was impressive, so let's see if it can keep going. Very good. How would you say that we did with the recipe? Is this brewed to something you would like?
Kind of mild, but if you want a bit more stronger.
Do a longer pour at the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is 80, 80, 80, and 70, like that.
So more pours. So an 80, 80, 80, and a 70. Something like that. Okay, so that's interesting. So maybe it's a little bit light on the body.
Yeah.
More pours would give us a bit more. Okay, so an interesting thing to update there.
I'm very impressed because I just tried the 2 coffee right now, but this is a pretty fast brewing, and then they're very gentle, but taste is really good.
Yeah, I'm impressed by how even the brew is, considering it's just pouring in the center.
Yeah.
I didn't expect a whole lot from that, but I guess Hario knows what they're doing. Okay, we've got one more coffee to do. We're gonna do gentlemen last, so let's talk about how we're gonna change the recipe. Okay, so our last coffee that we're going to be talking about is Gentleman. This is our darkest coffee we've talked about so far. If you guys want to learn more about this machine, this is kind of how you could use it. We're dialing in these 3 different coffees and talking about recipes. My YouTube channel also has a full review on this, Lifestyle Lab. So if you want to check that out, I will have it linked right up there if you want to have a whole overview of all of the features and all of my opinions on this machine. So typically, what are you looking for in a well-brewed cup of Gentleman?
It is strong enough, and then the dark chocolate, and then the rich flavors, and then the full mouth.
Definitely a good body, I think. Yeah, nice and rich.
Yeah.
Some good chocolate. That's actually, I quite enjoy that. I don't personally normally go quite this dark sometimes, at least not on a pour over, but this is quite good.
Yeah, this is dark roast coffee, but you feel not the super dark coffee.
It's nice and balanced.
Yeah, very nice and balanced. Yes.
Not too bad. I'm actually really enjoying this.
Yes.
It's really good. There you go. Okay, so we've now brewed an Ethiopia, we've brewed Dancing Goats and Gentleman.
Yes.
Which one were you most impressed with from the Hikaru?
Oh, my pick is the Ethiopian. High acidity, high sweetness, very well balanced. So.
Yeah, we accidentally did a 1 pour.
Yes.
But that brings up a good point in that the flow rate that we could get from a machine like this is always going to be more accurate than you can do by hand.
Yes.
So it might be actually more conducive to doing kind of more challenging recipes.
Yes.
Very good point. Okay, I was also very impressed with the Ethiopia as well, but actually I think my second place might be the Gentleman. This is a very well-brewed cup of Gentleman. Well, thank you for joining me, Jaimee. This was very informative.
Thank you for inviting me.
I hope that you guys enjoyed this too, learning a bit more about the Hikaru and learning about how to brew different roast levels of coffee, how to change the grind, the brew recipes, the temperature, all of these things that can help you guys brew no matter what coffee you're using at home, whether you're doing it by hand or on something that is automatic. So we will see you guys in the next edition of Brew Venture.